Hi everyone, my name is Shabri Drink, and like Michelle said, I am from the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, or better known as ISAC. And so we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth about financial aid. You can go to the next slide. So just to give you a little bit of background about who we are a state agency providing Illinois students with information and assistance to help make education beyond high school accessible and affordable. ISAC is the state agency that will help you as far as college access and financial aid agencies in the state of Illinois who administer scholarships, grants, prepaid tuition plans, and student loan repayment forgiveness programs. Next slide, please. So what exactly is financial aid? Financial aid is going to be money that is borrowed, given, or earned. You can use this money to as various sources to help you pay for college. Financial aid makes college affordable for you. It tends to make up for that gap that what your family can afford and what you can and what the school can provide to you. If you think you can't afford college, please think again. There is a lot of aid out there as far as scholarships and grants. Next slide, please. So just a little bit more about what types of financial aids we have. This is probably repetitive from the previous presentation that we had, but once again, we do have different types of financial aid. So you do have your gift aid, which is going to be your free money, money that you will not have to pay back in forms of grants, scholarships. And then you have your self-help aid, which is the money that you actually have to work for and go out there and prepare yourself for. You have that in forms of loans, and also in forms of a work study. And just to give you a little bit of background of what work study would be, so typically colleges have positions on campus where they are work study positions for students to be able to apply for these jobs. So students, you will actually have to apply for these jobs on campus. And what they do is they kind of work around your schedule, right? You're a college student, you have classes, you have other extracurriculum activities. So they work around your schedule as a student. Whereas if you compare to a regular job, if you're working at Walmart or Target, they see you as an employee and not as a student. So they think that your work comes first before your student work, which how work study would be a little bit more accessible for you as a student because they work around what works best for you and your schedule as a college student. Next slide, please. And so the sources of financial aid, we have four different sources. So of course it comes from the federal government and then the state government, which is your ISAC administrator. And then you have college aids that comes from different institutions and any other outside private sources. Next slide, please. So the two different sources of financial aid that you should definitely get to know is ISAC, which is going to be your state of Illinois agency for financial aid. If you get anything from ISAC where it's like blue and white, make sure you open it because it's going to be something that's supporting that you want to read through. And then you have the U.S. Department of Education, which is going to be the federal side of aid. And if you see anything with the big tree and says Department of Education, please do not ignore it. Open it and make sure you read it all the way through because it will be important information you will need to know. Next slide. And so just some big grants that you want to take into consideration would be the MAP grant. So for the MAP grant for us would be the state of Illinois, and you can earn up to $5,340. And then for the Pell Grant, which should be on the federal level, you can earn up to $6,345, which gets you a total of almost $12,000 of free money. So this is why it's important that you fill out the FAFSA, because you will put yourself in a position where if you do qualify for these grants, you will be able to see that on your financial aid award letter that comes from the different colleges you apply to just by filling out the FAFSA. Next slide. And so how do you apply for financial aid? So you want to consider what type of student aid that you're going to be applying to and what type of forms that are required by the college. So first is going to be the FAFSA, where you're going to find those applications for the MAP grant or the Pell Grant. So filling out the FAFSA is going to be your first step. And then for those who do not qualify for the FAFSA, we do have an application for state aid, which is going to be called the Alternative Application for Illinois Financial Aid, where you can fill that application out to qualify for state aid in the state of Illinois. And then you also want to be considering other forms that the college may be asking of you in order to maybe get a scholarship that they're offering, or maybe apply for a grant that they're offering. So just make sure that you're checking in with the colleges that you apply to see if there are any extra forms that you might have to apply. Next slide. And so this just gives you a screenshot of what the FAFSA should look like. So when you log into the application, you should see the first window. This is pretty much the first step for all students who want to apply for financial aid. It is used to apply for state and federal financial aid programs. And some colleges also use this application to determine if they want to award institutional aid. Now, you should not be paying anyone to apply for this application. This is totally free. Actually, the first letter in FAFSA stands for free. So you should not be paying anyone for these services. They are absolutely available to you at no cost. Next slide, please. And so then here we talk about the alternative application for Illinois financial aid, or better known as the alternative app. This application is only for state financial aid. It is open to qualifying undocumented students and transgender students who are not eligible to complete a FAFSA. Some colleges use it to award institutional aid as well. And once again, like the FAFSA, this application comes to you at no cost. You should not be paying for anybody to apply for this application. It's completely free. Next slide. And so just to give you a rundown of financial aid applications and what you should be doing. So remember, the FAFSA always opens up on October 1st. So as soon as possible after October 1st, please make sure that you're filling out your FAFSA. It is available for high school seniors and college students. So remember, once you get into college, the FAFSA application is not over. You will need to reapply every year and renew your FAFSA every single year you're in college. And then you want to visit the FAFSA website or the alternative application website, whichever applies to you. And we did provide some of those links in with the chat, so they should be with you so you can look over them if you don't catch it here. And then once again, it's just here to determine your eligibility for federal and state aid programs, and also some institutions use it to award institutional aid. Next slide. And so different financial aid offers, the financial aid administrator at the college that you apply to will go and package your all the available aid and see what type of financial aid offer that you're up for consideration. So make sure that when you're applying to the colleges, you put in that college on your FAFSA so they can receive your financial aid information. The financial aid award letters typically come in the spring. The schools will be sending them out to you typically in March or April. And then when you get that award letter from the different schools that you apply to, definitely check out ISAC's student portal website, where you can find the ISAC's financial aid comparison worksheet. And on that comparison worksheet, what you can do is you can take all the financial aid offers from each school that you apply to and compare them to see which one has the better option for you as far as your out-of-pocket costs or as far as how much you can afford to attend that school. Next slide, please. And so just some FAFSA tips and reminders. So just complete the FAFSA alternative or the alternative app, whichever applies to you. You're not going to be filling out both. If you only be filling out one if you apply for the FAFSA, or the other one if you apply for the alternative app. So you will only be filling out one application, whichever one you're qualified for, but make sure that you apply for it as soon as possible after October 1st. The information reported on the FAFSA is completely confidential, and any only information that is used to determine your financial aid eligibility. You may also be asked to submit documentation to the financial aid office for verification purposes. If you are selected for verification, do not worry, do not panic. Just make sure that you send in the documents that the school is asking for. Only the documents that the school is asking for, nothing more, nothing less. Any other supplemental application forms or deadline that may be required, you want to pay attention to that. Also, to keep a track of application deadlines, keep a track of everything that you submit, and also remember to reapply every single year. Next slide, please. And so here is just a screenshot of our ISAC student portal. We have a lot of great resources for you all to look at and for you all to utilize. The first one I really want to point out is called College Greenlight. ISAC does have a partnership with College Greenlight where students can create a profile, basically creating a profile, talking about themselves, what they're interested in, what colleges do they want to apply to, do they have any hobbies, are they in any sports? Basically completing the profile as a student. And what the College Greenlight will do is they will cater to the student and their needs and what they are interested in, and by applying those scholarships that fit to their criteria on their profile. So definitely check out College Greenlight in the student portal. website, we can get all these other resources. But as far as scholarship money, definitely check out College Greenlight as a resource. Next slide, please. And so here's some trusted websites that you can view to get a little bit more information, because I know it wasn't, we only have a short presentation here now. So you want to go to the student portal, ISAC.org, just to check out those other resources like the College Greenlight, studentaid.gov if you have any questions about any federal money or any grants that are out there, and then the FAFSA.gov application and the alternative app application is where you're going to go to apply. Next slide, please. And then here you're going to find our texting service agency here, where you can text any of these numbers that are closest to your area code. You will text them your first and last name, and you'll actually be talking to a live person. This person will be answering questions about financial aid or any questions that you have about going to college. They will also send you any updates, like if updates about when the MAP grant is about to suspend or when the FAFSA opens up. So definitely take one of these numbers down, which one is closest to your area code, and text the number as soon as possible, and you can start getting signed up now and get those alerts starting tomorrow. Next slide, please. And then here's just my information. If you have any questions outside of my presentation, I will be more than happy to answer them for you. I have my email address and my work number there. So thank you all for listening, and that is my presentation.